Good evening, principals, coordinators, spot prelim qualifiers. It's me, Avantika Vaidehi R, your host for VSSF Spot Webinars. I hope you have gone through the recorded session on Earth Science and have raised your questions. But before we proceed, let me please reiterate the housekeeping rules that I shared later. This session would last for 45 minutes to half an hour. Mobile phones to be switched off mode. Request all students to actively listen, participate in the session. Questions from this session could be a part of spot final exam, except for spot basic students. Please do not doodle on the screen, chat, nor spam if found otherwise. We will be restricting your participation from this webinar. Respected principals, teachers, and students, it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome Dr. S.K.Varshney, Senior Scientist and Head, International Cooperation, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. The knowledge gained and the services provided by Earth scientists help society cope up with its environment in many ways. Their knowledge about the structure, stratigraphy, and chemical composition of the Earth's crust help us locate resources that sustain and advance our quality of life. The general session hosted by Varshney sir was incredibly elaborate in depth and so much student-friendly. We are grateful to you, sir, and for such a wonderful lecture during the precious session. Here we commence the question and answer session. Over to you, sir, for the opening remarks.
Thank you, friend, and well, so many young friends, welcome. Fantastic to see you, and also see that so many of you found the session very interesting, and you have raised some questions, and I'll try my best to answer the questions raised by you. Very often we have experienced that when we are discussing a particular questions, there are several sub or counter questions. So I would request that whosoever is asking the question, if foundation finds it fit, he or she may read question by themselves. Otherwise, as it appears on the screen, I can answer them. Secondly, other children and teachers, if they have some further questions, they may put it in the chat box, and I hope foundation will see how many of them are repetitive questions or those kind of thing, and they may make a summary and we can continue discussing it. I hope going through this branch of science, the earth science, you will find it very, very exciting. There are several unexplored, unanswered questions which we are looking time to answer with the help of young brains like you. So maybe we can start with the first question.
It's pretty clear, and I would like to call upon Vihan Kondori, Silver Oak School, Hyderabad.
Okay, sir. Recently, scientists found that there is another core inside the inner core, the fifth layer of Earth, which is like a metallic ball formed recently and is also solid. Can you please justify?
Yeah, thank you, Vihan. It's a very, very interesting and very recent debate which we have had in our different newspapers, magazines, and I think those of you who have not read it, please go through it. Idea is that Earth is a very, very dynamic process, and we are having constant movement of various metals, minerals under various conditions of temperature and pressure. So in core, and nobody has gone inside. If you see most of the answers which we know about our Earth interior are indirect answers, and primarily responsible is seismic surveys or the earthquakes. Okay, So scientists create artificial earthquake or they release seismic waves to understand. And since seismic waves are of two types, primary and secondary, they travel differently and they are profiled. When they are traveling, they change. So with the help of primary and secondary waves, because some may propagate in all media, some may propagate only in solid media. So we can make a differentiation, where is liquid, where is solid. So in last 20 years, we have been debating. Somebody has said that there is no audio. Am I audible? Anyone can confirm?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir, you are
Yes, sir, you are
audible.
audible.
Problem from his side. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So what scientists have been debating for last 20 years, and it is still a hypothesis. Now, hypothesis is that you put up an idea and try to prove it to the situation given. So now they have felt that the core of the earth, which is primarily nickel and iron. So some part of it is like a metallic ball. And that is how it has a little bit solid as compared to the liquid core. So these kind of studies have come in recent past, and a couple of months ago, there was a paper in the research journal Nature on this subject. So still a lot of other activity, other studies are going on. And right now it's only an Australian suggestion, which they put forward and trying to prove through one or other studies. But we will still take time to accept this thing. Of course, it has come, entire global earth science community is debating on this, and we'll see how does it matter. But for you, it is important to note that earth is a very, very dynamic process. Several things keep on happening, and because at different places, pressure and temperature condition may vary. So you will find constant changes, not only on the earth crust, but also in earth interior.
Okay, sir.
Can we take the next question?
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call upon Dhruv K. Singh, Rajgiri School, Kerala.
Hello, sir. Good evening. I am Dhruv K. Singh, studying in class 4 from Rajagiri Kristu Jayanti Public School, Kochi, Kerala. It's a pleasure and privilege to meet you, sir. Sir, the 2004 tsunami was responsible for the submergence of the Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So, sir, my question is it possible to predict all natural calamities? If so, what will be the accuracy level?
Thank you, Dhruv, and good evening. And I think your question is very, very much of area of concern for one and all. Can we predict natural calamity? Well, 2004 tsunami, we were not prepared because it has not occurred on Indian soil for long. And only we are experiencing that country like Japan and Australia are frequently visited by tsunami. But after this tsunami occurred, now India has developed a system, and we have created a center which is called INCOIS, Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, which not only can predict tsunami or other sea disasters like cyclones, wave formations, but could also guide fishermen. Where are the school of fish they should go for farming? It could guide on several parameters, several physical parameters of the ocean. So in a way, it is possible to predict tsunamis now. And I am very happy to tell you that India has got the best tsunami warning system of the world. So excellent prediction, 100% it is true. And we have been alerting not only Indian community, but also other countries which are likely to get affected by tsunami. The second part of question which you have put, can we predict all natural calamities? Is little difficult. Now, I'll tell you, it is possible to predict things like flood, drought, cyclones, or hurricanes, whatever you call it. But it is not possible. It is possible to predict even landslides, but we cannot predict earthquakes. And it's not that we cannot predict earthquake totally. Earthquakes are caused because of two regions, either volcanic region or tectonic region. Those because of volcanic region could be predicted. We can tell at what point it is likely to be and when it would be getting more active. Now, volcanoes, you must remember, are not always active. They remain dormant for very, very long points, very, very long period. But whenever we notice a change in temperature, we can realize when the next volcanic activity could be, and that could be predicted based on several geochemical, geophysical studies. But tectonic activities have not been predicted so far. For example, you might have heard that every 8 years there is a major earthquake in Himalaya. But in which part, at what time, we are not sure. So I would say, in response to your question, second part of your question, all natural calamities cannot be predicted accurately. We could guess about them. Some of them could be predicted accurately, like tsunami, flood, drought, landslides. These could be predicted.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful answer. And I would like to call upon Gurbani Kaur, Delhi Public School, Jammu and Kashmir.
Good evening, sir. I am Gurbani Kaur of class 9th from Delhi Public School, Jammu. So my question to you is that how does the height of Himalayas, that is Mount Everest, increasing every year? And sir, how do we measure it and what are its implications?
Gurbani, very interesting questions, but I would like to draw your attention that height is a very, very smaller terms. Okay. And we are using it very loosely. For example, what is your height? It could be 5 feet something, or what is my height? We are always measuring it from the surface on which we are standing. So whether you are on the first floor or you are on the ground floor or on the 5th floor of a building, your height remains the same, right? But when we are measuring how elevated the mountain peaks are, they are always measured in terms of their height from mean sea level, which remain constant. Okay, so we are not using the term height of a mountain, but we are using elevation of a mountain. That is first part. Now, second part is that you are asking, is it increasing every year? Well, there are confirmed news that elevation of Mount Everest is rising at a speed of 4 millimeter for every 10 years. Now you can imagine how small it sounds. 4 millimeter in 10 years is virtually nothing. Okay, it is difficult to observe it from the naked eyes. So what people are doing, they are measuring it time and again. Every year we are conducting geophysical surveys, and with the help of geophysical survey and trigonometry, we are calculating the elevation of different mountain. And we have noticed Mount Everest is rising. And the reason is that Indian plate constantly is moving northwards. And if I could create a picture like this, suppose this is Asian plate and this is Indian plate and they are colliding. So the possibility is that they are rising. Okay, so this rise is about 4 millimeter in 10 years. but they're constantly rising. And we are measuring it through geophysical surveys helped by trigonometry solutions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. And I would like to call upon Anushka Gupta, Air Force School, Hindan, Uttar Pradesh, for her question.
Good evening. Sir, good evening, sir. I am Anushka Gupta. Sir, I want to ask, it is difficult to become earth science scientist because I also wanted to be an earth science scientist, sir.
Actually, if I remove the word earth science, just would say, is it difficult to become a scientist? No. And definitely not to become an earth scientist. Only thing you require, where is your passion? What kind of thing you would like to do? If you love nature, you can become earth scientist. You should understand what are the natural processes and how does it take place. Good part is that we take help from all discipline of science, be it physics, chemistry, geography, biology, engineering, everything is contributing. So if you have a passion for nature and natural scientists, natural processes, you could become a natural scientist or earth scientist.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. And now I would like to call upon Atharva Arushja, Kendra Vidyalaya, AFS Bhojha, SM.
Good evening, sir. My name is Arusha. I am from Kendra Vidyalaya, FS Bhojha, Guwahati, Assam. My question is, why do some rivers or streams flow silently while some rivers move randomly, making lots of noise and also water scatters?
Well, very, very interesting questions. Actually, there are two things which you must keep in mind. When rivers are flowing, what is the gradient? If it is a very smooth sailing, then water will keep on flowing. But if gradient is high, like this, or like this, or like this, then water will flow with a velocity, with a higher velocity. And if there are some particles, some rock flows, water will strike and make noise. But that is happening mostly in upstream part of the river, where rivers not only is supported by gradient, high gradient, but and also mean the water very often collide with the various stones which are in the river channel. When river goes further downstream, then we realize that even the rock sizes get very smaller. It is converted into sand or clay, and water could flow very smoothly. So in upstream part, most of the rivers are flowing with making some noise, but in downstream side, they're flowing silently, and you need to really notice the thing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your wondrous answer for such a very nice question. Now, I would like to call upon Sharanya S., Cindy Model Senior Secondary School, Kelly, Chennai, Tamil Nadu.
Good evening, sir. I'm Saranya, studying in Sydney Model Senior Secondary School, Chennai. So, sir, my question is, as mentioned in the session, the Gondwana land was a single large continent containing South America, Africa, India, and Australia, but then drifted away some 200 million years ago. So now, sir, could the same happen again in the present or in the future, leading to drifting of continents? If so, will there be any impact to human life?
Imagine yourself being in a water body, be it river or ocean. And then imagine continent to be the boat, which keeps on flowing, moving all the time. Okay. So we need to understand this situation that we are sitting in a boat, and that either we decide which direction we will sail, or there are factors like wind or internal process of the earth, like gradients or other things, which makes this move in a particular direction. And since last so many million years, we have been moving. While India is moving northward, northeastward, Australia is moving southeastward, Antarctica is moving southward. So this process will keep on continuing until we reach the very, very boundary of the planet. So for example, now Antarctica does not have any option to move any further. So if any movement happens, it could be only northward. Okay. And there have been geological histories where there has been exchange of land and sea on North and South Pole. So earlier, even North Pole was the continent and South Pole was sea. Today, South Pole is continent, as we know Antarctica, but Arctic is a sea. So in geological past, it was possible, it had happened, and I'm sure dynamic process of Earth will keep continuing, and we should find, but it may not be possible in our lifetime. Because if you see the movement of India in last 70 million years, no, imagine the size, 70 million years, and our life is, for let us assume on a higher side, is about 100 years. So how many ages it will take to witness that kind of movement? So in earlier question, I said that India is moving northeastward and colliding with the Chinese plate, and that is why Himalaya or Everest is rising. So India, this is a set pattern, unless there are some internal movements in the earth and it takes the route. But in our lifetime, we will see India where it is. But over a long period of time, it will take, you have to always imagine time. We are here for a very, very small fraction of time. Even if we live for 100 years, it makes very little time when we are talking about Earth history of nearly 5 billion years. We are talking of history of Indian movement from southern continent to northern continent in about 60-70 million years ago, or breaking of Gondwana land in 200 million years ago. So time is a bigger parameter. Our observations, our existence, our participation is for very, very limited period. So we may not probably realize the speed, but it is happening. And as far as your question, impact on human life, it would be there. Because suppose now Antarctica is virtually barren. There are hardly 2,000 people living. And those 2,000 people also are scientists or military personnel who are trying to study that continent. So there is no normal population over there. On the other hand, now since India has moved to more tropical climate, which is much more convenient for the life to be there, we are becoming more and more populous. I hope you know that current year, 2023, India would be the country with maximum population, largest population. We will beat China also. Okay, because conditions are favorable. But then there are countries, especially those who are mostly in colder climate, where population is decreasing. So if we see the entire world, there are pockets where population is increasing because of favorable climatic conditions. On some other part, population is decreasing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your wondrous answer. And I would like to call upon J. Nitish Reddy, Birla Open Minds International School, Telangana, to put forward his question. Nitish, please.
Good evening, sir. My name is J. Nitish Reddy. I'm studying 7th in Birla Open Minds International School, Telangana. So my question is, can you explain us why is the crust called Sial and the mantle called Sima, as you mentioned it in the session?
Yeah, if you divide these two words, so they represent two different minerals, silica and aluminum, which is mostly the composition of earth crust, and silica and magnesium, which is the mostly constitution of our mantle. Now, once again, as I said earlier, These are all indirect studies. Earth crust, of course, we know, we see it, but nobody has gone to mental. So all studies have been done based on various geophysical and geochemical surveys. And that is how we have depicted that what could be the variance in terms of mineral composition, in rock compositions. So you can find this thing. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call upon Navya Deepshree, Birla Open Minds International School, LB Nagar, Hyderabad, Telangana. Navya, please.
Good evening, sir. My name is Navya Deepshree. I'm studying in grade 9 from Birla Open Minds International School, Telangana. My question is there a chance for the Earth's magnetic field to weaken or fade?
Navya, your doubt may be correct. There are stories which tells us that Earth magnetic field is weakening. And we are trying to understand why and how much it is weakening and what is the speed. Well, speed, as I said, natural processes are very, very slow. So we may not notice it in our lifetime, but whatever recorded history says that they are getting weakened or fade.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. I would like to call upon Siddhanshu Kohli, SVKM School, Dhule, Maharashtra, for his question. Siddhanshu, please.
Sir, good evening, sir. My question is, how is it possible that the Indian subcontinent was located in the southern hemisphere 250 million years ago, as the age of the Earth is only 4.6 million years, as mentioned in the webinar?
Thank you, Sudhanshu, for pointing it out. I think Earth age is quite large. It is it is close to 5 billion years, not million, billion. So maybe there could be a pronunciation mistake, but Earth age is nearly 5 billion years. And 250 million years is rather a small period.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. And I would like to call upon Pranav Tripathi, KVFS, Borger, SM, for his question. Now, Pranav, please put forward your question to sir.
Good evening, sir. I'm Pranav Tripathi from class 3rd of Kendriya Vidyalaya Air Force Station, Borja at Guwahati. In inner core is white hot, the pressure is so high, the iron cannot melt out.
Pranav, can I ask you to repeat your question, because I'm still trying to figure out in what context white hot is being discussed.
In inner core is white hot. In inner core is white hot, the pressure is so high, the iron cannot melt out.
Imagine holding something, but you must realize what is pressure. And in core, we have got pressure of the load. So try doing one thing. Put one pillow on your head, okay? And when you put your pillow for a head, you can keep the pillow on for, say, an hour or so, okay? Then you put 2 pillows, then try with 3 pillows, and suddenly you will realize what the pressure means. Okay, now, as you know, Earth's core is deep inside, and entire load of Earth crust, mantle, both upper and lower, and core. Core is again 2 parts. Again, we are discussing if there is a metallic ball also. So imagine such a huge load, and which causes both extreme cases of pressure and temperature. So things may remain stable, may not remain stable. We have observed that in the core, only 2 minerals can survive, nickel and iron, and which are also causing the geomagnetic properties. So this is all, and I'm still not very clear if your question of white hot is what you are talking about. iron being white hot, or but as I feel that you are trying, what is the level of pressure in core? I responded there.
Thank you, sir, for your kind answer to this question. Now I would like to call upon Nitisha Vidyasakar, International Public School, Tirupur, Tamil Nadu, for her question. Nitisha, please.
Sir, myself, Nidisha, Class 6, Vidyasagar International Public School, Tirupur, Tamil Nadu. My question is, what special structure of volcano made the sunlight to not enter the earth, which caused the extinction of dinosaur?
प्रेशर तो ओ प्रेशर ऐसा वाला होगा
Nitisha, I'm not sure how many of you have seen Delhi in winters. In winters, Delhi get foggy, and because of dust particle in the air, the intensity of sunlight is highly reduced. Now, what we are studied that when there was a major volcanic activity, which in the Cretaceous period, which caused extinction of dinosaur, was a major volcanic activity, and dust particles were thrown into the atmosphere. And as we all know that after going to a particular height, dust particles start traveling downwards towards the base because of gravity. Okay, so they would like to settle, but in between the process of eruption and their settlement because of gravity, they remain in atmosphere for some time, and that time even sunlight cannot come in those areas. So what we are believing that during the early Cretaceous period, there was a huge volcanic activity, and sunlight could not come to Earth's surface for 3 years. Now, 3 years, if there is no sunlight, you can imagine several of living species will have challenges. And more challenges are for the bigger animal who require food. Now, most of the dinosaurs, as you might have seen, were vegetarian. But because of non-availability of sunlight, even plants could not survive. And these animals required to maintain their own biological cycle, so they were not getting the good air to breathe, and that caused the extinction. So imagine situations if we do not get sunlight for a day, imagine for a week, for a month, and then for a year. I think in several parts of the world, even today, mostly we are saying in polar parts, sun is not there for 6 months. Okay, I hope you have heard about it, like Antarctic summers or Antarctic winters. So this is a 6-monthly cycle. In some of our books, mythological book, we have like in Ramayana, there is a mention of Kumbhakarna, who was sleeping for 6 months. Now, if the fellow was where you and I are living, sleeping for 6 months could be a little longer. But if you are living in polar region where you don't see sun for 6 months and see continuous sun for another 6 months. So this is happening. But dinosaurs got extincted because they did not have enough air, good quality air to breathe in. They did not have food, which were primarily plants, and they got extincted.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. Now, I would like to call upon Aditi Anand, Chettinad Vidyashram, Tamil Nadu, to put forward her question. Now, Aditi, please put forward your question.
Good evening, sir. I'm Aditi Anand of Class 8, Chettinad Vidyashram, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Sir, my question is that I studied that the ozone layer is invisible. Then how is it possible for a hole to occur there, sir?
Okay. Now, when we say invisible, it does not mean that it is not there. For example, the air around you, is it visible? No, but it is there. And whenever you go to different place, you can find out if good air is there or not. For example, I tell you, if you go to Ladakh, the air there is very different and oxygen is very low in that air. And that is why anybody going to Ladakh is asked to take 1 day off, complete rest, so that our body can acclimatize to live in that quality of air. Okay, so this is only just to explain you that being invisible does not mean that it's not there. As far as ozone layer is concerned, or hole in ozone layer is concerned, it is primarily because of various human activities, because of which we are releasing carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. And that is making ozone layer to break. We have noticed that several parts of Australia, there was a hole which now they have covered up with good quality gases, and it's not there. But then when it was there, sun rays were coming directly into that part. So through study of atmosphere, we tried to see what is the size of that hole. Is it growing? Is it constant? Then we did the correction work. But in between that period, when there was a hole, several people were exposed to direct sun rays, which also contained some harmful features, some harmful elements, and people got a lot of skin issues in that. So now we are constantly worried about ozone layer. This hole has been minimized, and make sure, please feel sure that being invisible does not mean that you are not there. Another example I can give you is, I hope many of you has heard about Bhopal gas tragedy. Have you heard?
Yes, sir.
So what happened? There
Yes,
was,
sir.
there was a gas,
Yes.
methyl isocyanide, which got leaked, and it was invisible. So accident happened in the night when people were sleeping, and they could not even move out because the toxic effect of that gas was so high. So always think being invisible is something not visible to human eye. But there are ways to detect it and also to see if it is causing any harm to us and how we can correct it.
Thank you, sir, for your answer to this wonderful question. I would like to call upon Parvani Pradeep from Global Public School, Kochi, for her question.
Parvani, are you there? Okay, then I take the question which is on the screen right now. You see, Earth is not same at all the places. It's full of undulations. There are hills, there are rivers, there are lakes, other creation, other structures. But the topography of any particular place depends in the conditions where the landmass is. And we have got, like, for example, because of collision of Indian plate and Asian plates, we have got the Himalaya. Now, such mountains, which we also called fold mountains, are in different part of the world. And we try to work out, because of these mountains and valleys and rivers, how this structure might have been formed. And because if you see, even our own country, there are several things, like we have got Himalaya, Aravallis, Satpuras, Eastern and Western Ghat. Okay, and formation of each one of them is different. There are so many river valleys. Okay, and because of different processes, because of quality of air, because of humidity, because of temperature and pressure, these these geographical features keep on evolving. Okay, for example, we now know that Saraswati is not there. Earlier it was there. So we can see the place where it is started and then got submerged. But in time to come, there could be some new river system, some new mountain, depending upon various activities, including volcanoes and tectonic activities.
Thank you, sir, once again for an answer for such a wonderful question. Now I'd like to call upon Arya Maji from DAV Model School, Durgapur, West Bengal, to put forward her question. Arya, please.
Good morning, sir. I am Arya Maji from class 7, DAV Model School, Durgapur, West Bengal. So my question is that the southern part of Asia, especially the Indian subcontinent and some of the Arab countries, face earthquakes but not many volcanoes, whereas the western part of North America and the eastern part of Africa have volcanoes but do not face frequent earthquakes. Why are these regions especially not having both frequent earthquakes and volcanoes?
Well, I think if you can go back to the webinar slide where I try to explain that there are some identified places now which are having volcanic activity and tectonic activities. And there are some places which are having both volcanic and tectonic activity. So if you see countries or nations around the Ring of Fire, then they have got a lot of volcanic activity. Now, earthquake could be caused because of volcanic activity, and that is where we are saying that yes, if there is volcano, there could be earthquake. But it is not essential that all areas affected by volcanoes will have earthquake. Only where we have got collision, earthquake could come, landslide could come. So these are two independent activities. I suggest you to see that slide where we have compared where are the earthquakes, where are the volcanic activity, and 60% part is common, but not everything. So there may be places only with volcanic activities, or there may be places only with tectonic activities.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Once again, thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call upon Sparsh Dua, Delhi Public School, Ghaziabad, to put forward his question. I'd like to call him to put forward the question to you, sir.
Good evening, sir. I'm Sparsh Dua from DPSG, Ghaziabad. And my question for today is, the way we know about the creatures of the past is through bone fossils. How do we know about the creatures that did not have any bones? Is it just based on predictions?
No, you see, first part is fine because most of the time when we see the fossil, we see their skull or the hard part or bones. But it is possible very often to get help from other tools, which are like the impression they might have created. Because softer part of the body do not survive for a long, and they get dissolved in some time. Okay, each body has got some time limit when they get dissolved completely. So for the bone for finding out the age, apart from fossils, we are also studying other things. So the science to study fossil is called paleontology. And we have now developed another branch which is called micropaleontology, which means they will study even the impressions, the prints. So for example, there is a tea leaves. We can find so many plant fossils in the Gondwana part. we are also seeing composition of the rocks in which those impressions are. And if any of them has got some radioactive element, we are trying to study their age and then connecting what kind of life would be in that particular period as detected by the by the radioactive dating. So unstable isotope dating we have been doing, like potassium, argon, those kind of things.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Once again, thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call upon Ghulam Abdul Qadir from Vidyamyan School, Bulandshahr, Uttar Pradesh, to put forward his question. Ghulam, please. Ghulam, are you there?
Well, if he's not there, I take it his questions. In recent past, last 15-20 years, we have noticed that extreme weather events have increased. So, for example, it could rain in a place, whatever it used to rain in a month, on one given day, it could rain. And this is happening for a variety of reasons, for cloud burst or sudden variation in temperature. Even our weather cycle seems to have changed. Earlier, we had a fixed period that October to February, we'll have winters. March and April, we'll have autumn. Then there would be summers till August, September, and then there would be fall. But now those all things are changing. Even the rain pattern is changing. And we are exploring what could be the impact of weather change or climate change. And we have noticed that extreme events are increasing, but earthquake and tsunami are not associated only with climate change. They are happening because of tectonic activity or volcanic activity. And human being is making some impact on the climate by our activity, which we are trying to control through various convention. Whenever we are discussing earth and environment, we are trying to find out how better we could address those issues.
Thank you, sir, once again for your answer. Now I'd like to call upon David Agarwal from MIT International School, UP, to put forward his question. David, please.
Yes, good evening, sir. I am Devik Agarwal of Class 6, MIT International School, Uttar Pradesh. Sir, my question is, how do volcanoes form? Like, are volcanoes mountains that have been changed by some force, or do they have a different process by which they form?
Devik, volcanoes are the point, I must say, where an opening could be provided, a loose spot or weak spot on the earth from where energy could be released. And energy is released either in form of volcanoes or in the form of earthquake. Now, idea is that when volcanic eruption takes place, you may go back to my presentation and see how did I explain movement within earth mantle or crust because of constant heating and activity, that heated particle would like to move up and colder particle would like to come down. And I explained it through heating of water, boiling of water. You can see in a glass beaker that how the particles are moving. Exactly in the same way, lava or magma, which comes from the mantle, it starts. Now, several volcanoes are strong and they come on the earth's surface. And there are volcanoes which get subsided within the earth crust. So that is why we have got two kinds of rock, volcanic rock and plutonic rock. Both are formed because of fire. We call it igneous activities. So both of them are called igneous rock, but those volcanoes which erupt on the earth crust settle down because of earth atmosphere, they form volcanic rocks. And those volcanoes which erupt but do not come up to earth's surface, they are forming plutonic rock.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have one question related to this. In the webinar, the word stratovolcano was written at the bottom of a picture of a volcano. Sir, are there other types of volcanoes? And if so, what are they? And like, what makes them different from each other?
No, actually, main difference is the composition and the process of their settlement. Some, as you know, for crystallization of minerals, it takes time. But whenever volcanoes are erupting, they get guided by the geographic, topographic, or weather-related conditions of that place. So it could form different, same mineral, it could be, but it forms different type of rocks depending upon the mineral composition, what it has brought in from the mantle. So there could be n number of things, and as I said a little bit ago, primarily there are volcanic and plutonic rock, and both of them have got light colored materials or dark colored materials. So we classify them on the basis of mineral composition, if of lighter mineral or of, and the darker one is called mafic rocks, and lighter one, I'm just missing the name, which is mainly composed of quartz, feldspar, and some other minerals. They're lighter, and on the rock types, it could be two. Rocks like granite is one part, which is whiter side. If granite has darker mineral, then it forms the, so each rock type, it depends what is the mineral composition that has come out as a part of volcanic eruption.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, thank you, sir, for your wonderful answer. Now I'd like to call upon Ash Chabra, Mohanlal Vinay. Excuse me, please unmute.
My name is Harsh Chabra and I study in class 8. Good evening, sir. My name is Harsh Chabra.
Others are requested to mute your audio.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Good evening, sir. My name is Harsh Chabra and I am from class 8, Mohanlal Dayal Vinay Mandir School, Rajasthan. Sir, my question is, how do colored landforms on Earth form?
Well, as I answered in my previous question, it mainly depends upon the mineral composition. So as you know, Earth is very dynamic. Each different parts have been having different kind of natural resources, different mineral. That is where the mine comes from. And color also is dependent upon the mineral composition of the rocks where you are finding those things.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful answer. Now I'd like to call upon Jathar, DAV Public School, Odisha, to put forward his question. Jathar, please. Jathar, are you there?
Well, first part, I'm really surprised and I'm not having any immediate answer if tectonic activity is blessing in disguise. So maybe if two places which are quite distant and because of tectonic activity and there is a movement because of fault or fold, they can come closer. It is possible, but still I'm not aware about any good thing caused because of tectonic activities. Now, why does it happen? I have explained in my presentation, it is because of convection currents, where heat is flowing in either from center to different direction or from different direction to center. There are a lot of subductions and other activities. Unfortunately, though we can monitor it, but we cannot control it.
Thank you, sir, once again for your wonderful answer. And I would like to call upon Shashank Bharadwaj from Air Force School, Hendan, UP, to put forward his question.
Siddharth, can you raise your question?
I would like to call upon Vedashree Subodhkar Rao from Kendra Vidyalaya, Shivaji Nagar, to put forward her question. Vedashree, please.
Yes, good evening. Sir, I am Vedashree from class 9th, Kendra Vidyalaya number 2, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Sir, my question is, can we conserve nature by simply not interfering in it and reducing some of our less important needs? Because it was observed during COVID period, some of the rivers like Ganga River got cleaned by themselves. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vedashree, for pointing these questions. This is something which we say, like in the previous question, we were saying blessing in disguise. Because of no activity by human beings, our air quality, our water quality of our rivers got better. But we need to keep on doing this thing. Okay, now again, when we have come in a period which is something like prior to COVID, we are again polluting. There are a lot of educational and awareness campaign launched. As a children, I would ask you to be careful what is happening to the water which you are using for bathing, for washing your clothes, for washing kitchen utensils, and see how that water is treated. And can we reduce the wastage of water? That is very important. Similarly, whenever we are opening new factories, there are two kinds of fears: how it will impact the air quality and what kind of discharge it will have to the water system. Very often we have noticed in our country, there are companies where discharge get merged with the main drainage, and then it gets connected to a river, eventually polluting the river. But if we all be careful, if we try not to pollute air, we can come out. And as you have noticed, that COVID period also improve air and water quality. So this situation is absolutely within us, and we can control or contribute for either cleaning or polluting of natural systems like air and water.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, once again for answering such a wonderful question. I'd like to call upon Rashid Singh from Pacific World School, UP, to put forward his question. Rashid, please.
Good evening, sir. I am Rashid Singh from class 7th, Pacific World School, Uttar Pradesh. Actually, recently, the G7 group of countries have proposed a carbon tax on India and China to prevent global warming. Will this proposal change the level of global warming?
No kind of taxation could help improve the condition which we are living until and unless we realize it ourselves. Now, that is the answer to your question. But if we talk in terms of political mileage, then G7 countries are those which are emitting a lot of carbon per person. India and China are being targeted because we have got a huge population. And if we compare per person per person release of carbon to atmosphere, then we are still far behind. But now you should think in terms of a citizen. How should I keep my air clean? Taxation won't help. Taxation is a way to threat them, to control them, that if you don't do this, this would happen. But eventually nothing better than the human practice, how we can sustain this earth, this planet. And that is what we are talking in terms of G20. India is hosting currently one planet, one earth for all of us. It's a global village, and whatever we do here could impact anywhere. For example, recently we had COVID. So it started from a place and then it was all over the world. So we need to see that how we could keep air quality in our land area as clean and water quality as clean as possible. It's possible only with human efforts and not with taxation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, once again for such a great answer. I'd like to call upon Sri Mitra from Jubilee Hills Public School, Hyderabad, for asking her question. Mitra, please.
Sir, I am Srimitra from class 7, and my question is, what is a cryosphere and how is it related to earth science, because it deals with the internal structure of the earth. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shri Mitra. If you divide the word cryo and sphere, then sphere is part of the earth. So it could be lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere. So cryosphere is something which we are using for low temperature things. Okay, there are cryosciences also. But when we are talking about cryosphere, in terms of earth sciences, we are talking about polar regions where lifestyle is very different and very few human beings live there. And also we are using Himalaya as a third pole. So primarily the places where we find temperatures below zero for a longer time is considered part of being cryosphere.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call upon Monish from Delhi Public School, Bangalore, to put forward his question. Monish, please.
Good evening, sir. I'm Monish from Delhi Public School, Bangalore. I'm studying in class 7. So in the webinar, I think you have explained that in caves, there's icicle-like formations due to seepage of water in the rocks. So, like, what is the exact term used for these icicle-like formations in the caves?
So there are two terms. One is called stalagmite and another is called stalactite. Now, there are two ways water could be deposited in those caves. One is drop by drop, it is coming and then it could not come down. So it is from top. But second scenario is when water comes to the ground, but then there are temperature which is lower than zero and it's immediately start freezing. And then we see that water drop keep on accumulating one over the above to form these structures. So these are called stalagmite if they are top down and stalactite if they are bottom up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call upon Aradhya Chowdhury from Kohinoor International School, Maharashtra, for her question. Aradhya, please.
Good morning, good evening, sir. My name is Aradhya Chaudhary. I'm studying in grade 6, Kohinoor International School, Maharashtra. Can you explain why objects weigh less on the equator than at the North Pole?
Aradhya, I'm so sorry that I have no idea about these questions, but maybe I'll work it out and through the foundation, I'll give you the answer of this question.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call upon Sinshana Kadam from KV number 1, Golconda, Telangana, to put forward their question. Sinshana, please.
Good evening, sir. I am Sinchana, studying in class 9, Kendra Vidyalaya number 1, Golconda from Hyderabad, Telangana. My question is, how are the spaces in Earth filled up after extracting materials like coal, iron, and oil? Whether these mining materials processes are somehow related to earthquake or not?
Well, Sinchana, it's a very, very interesting question. And all these mineral resource industry are also badly named as robber industries because we are withdrawing resources from Earth's interior and leaving them hollow. Now, there are definitely some dynamics and we have seen collapse of several mines in past, especially of coal. And so we know that we are creating weak zones. There are possibilities of landslides inside the mine. But then a lot of civil engineering support is being given these days to retain the mine structure even after withdrawal of mineral resources from that zone. Now, as far as earthquake is concerned, it's a much bigger process than rather shake-up. So earthquake is a kind of energy release from the earth interior. And they are not related with the withdrawal of minerals from the rock surface. There are activities like water table, which gets affected whenever there is a mining activity. There are other parameters which may get affected, but it is like creating a small weaker zone where you have taken away solid or liquid part from that, if I could use the word reservoir, so it becomes more filled with air than anything else. Minor accidents are possible, earthquakes are not possible.
That ends the question and answer session on Earth Science by Dr.S.K.Varshney. Thank you, sir, for this very inspiring session that I'm sure has helped our sport talents to gain clarity and better understanding on the topic.
Thank you, everyone. I think it was
Thank you, sir.
Very well organized. Students maintained their calm and patience, and we went through number of questions as were being raised. The one question on weight difference in different part of the earth, I have not gone through, so I'll take time to study that, and we'll try to put it to the group through the foundation, and rest everything I tried my best to answer.
So why did radioactivity start on Earth?
Sir, one question is that, sir, why did the disaster happen in Joshimath? Means, what are the reasons for the Joshimath disaster?
Okay, have you ever seen an area which gets lot of snowfall?
Yes, sir.
So what happens, there are different cycles of snowfalls. So there would be one cycle, the snow will get settled, and then once it is frozen, there would be fresh snowfall, which is not consolidated or still not solidified. Now what happens when vehicle goes, it puts a lot of pressure, and what impacts that lower base snow get melted, and it impacts the entire thing, not only the lower part but also the upper part. So if a car is going in a terrain where there is 2 layers of snow and one layer, both of them get melted, and car driver need to negotiate how not to skid, and that is why it is called that it is difficult to drive on mountainous road. As far as Joshimath is concerned, Joshimath is there on the debris of a landslide. Now, of course, for a long there was no activity, and many people in Joshimath were allowed only ground floor or first floor. But if you see in recent past, there have been structures which are much bigger in size than those ground and first floor only. And that is indirectly putting pressure on the debris. And once the debris moves, it creates joints or a big gap. You can call it fault also. So we are concerned and trying to understand that besides Joshimath, if it is happening in some other part of the country also, mostly in the Himalayan region, which is tectonically very active.
Sir,
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 you please tell that how does core come into mental?
are we able to having a doubt? What is the impact? What is anthropology?
I'm sure that there are still more questions with the participants. We will try to consolidate those questions which came through the chat and get answers. Limited time restricts us from taking more questions and moving on. Students, please make a note on the next webinar on technological development and innovation on 8 March 2023 by Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe, former chairman AICTE. We would like to know how you like this program, so request each of you to visit the VSSF Facebook, VSSF Google, VSSF Twitter pages, like us, follow us, comment and share to your friends. Review the section Earth Science on the FB page post by Dr.S.K.Varshney. Those of you who have more queries on Earth Science can raise these questions in the comment section by tagging as Dr. S.K.Varshney sir has agreed to respond in a few days' time. Many of you have liked and commented on the VSSF FB page, but we request all of you to participate on the VSSF Facebook page and also leave a review on the VSSF Google page. Thank you, sir. Thank you, principals, students, and teachers. We will see you for the next session on 8 March 2023. Thank you.